Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Night. I'm your host, Brian Smith, and today I'm going to go over a little bit about what a combine is, and I'm going to use the example from last night's Under Armour event at IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. I was blessed enough to be able to go, and it was a good time. And quite frankly, even though I've been to a lot of these types of events, I think it's good for people to understand what it is and why it's so important in the world of recruiting. UCF and every other school in the country recruits IMG. You really don't have much of an option. It's by far the most talented team in the country every year. They recruit players from across the country. They go train in an NFL type facility. I used to work there. They have not one, but two weight rooms that are state of the art. Not one, two. They have outdoor fields. They have all kinds of different trainers, coaches, guys that have played in the NFL that are around the program. It's very, very unique. With that stated, Under Armour and the people that are basically operating around it, Under Armour is the sponsor for IMG. They held their event last night for specifically the IMG players prior to the event this Sunday down in the greater Fort Lauderdale area for the big event for the state of Florida. For Under Armour, there are about 200 kids that come in. It's just like an NFL combine there too. But this one, it's a little easier to explain, and I could even put up some videos here in a minute. I might do that from my Twitter account. But here's the thing that you need to know. Colleges get this information, and they use it as a way to supplement their database on their own evaluations, UCF included. Every school in some way, shape, or form subscribes to some of these different reports. Some of them are really expensive. Some of them are not. It just depends. It could be 25 grand they pay. It could be $500. Bottom line, it's a lot of money that goes into it because getting just one key player that you otherwise may not have offered or really went after in an ardent fashion changes your program, potentially speaking at least. So for this, you know what? I think I will pull up a video or two. There's a way you can kind of go about it, and a lot of coaches are really iffy about the times and all that. They want to see it with their own eyes. But outside of just a handful of truly elite schools over the last decade, you can't get everybody to your camp, your summer camp. So that's why these are important. Some of the kids that were there last night at IMG are so big, even though their position is, offensive line. You think a kid can't move like that at that size, etc. That's what IMG had. So I'm just going to share this video here. This is a pretty interesting way to do it. But there's just not a lot of guys like this, and you can't see everything in this fashion all the time. So this kid here, just a 40, and it shows all the sensors all the way down as he's running it. I was standing a couple of feet behind. This is just one of the things that you really don't get to do unless you're a really elite player, go to some of these camps and stuff. And then, of course, Under Armour's is an invite-only kind of deal. But some of them aren't. Under Armour is obviously an exclusive kind of gig, but this is just one of them. And while Under Armour does it, there are other places that you can look at it and assume that even if it's a smaller camp, it's a way to learn for any prospects out there. While I'm thinking of it, there's a technique to it. Even some of the kids that are on IMG did not run the events the way they probably should to maximize their best time, their best jump, etc. They do the L drill, the 5-10-5, the 40, obviously, as I just showed. They do vertical, they do broad, things of that nature. But all of it is a trained skill. It's something that the college coaches know. Some kids just don't know it as well, even at IMG. I'll pull up a couple more. But what are these schools really looking for? And to be honest with you, the easiest way to put it kind of goes like this. You're talking about a kid that can not only run fast and he can be explosive, but can he translate it to the game of football? Not all kids can, and not all drills are meant to do it, just exclusively to football, but it gives you a general idea. This next drill I'm going to put up on the screen is a football type drill that is used pretty much at every school and even high school and junior highs across the country. The NFL does a similar drill to this, and it's one of my favorites. And quite frankly, I don't see how you wouldn't want to use this at a lot of positions, although this is technically a running back drill. And running backs, while they're obviously very good athletes, this is Stacy Gage, one of the best players in the country in the class of 24. He's a player from the greater Tampa area who lives in Riverview. He's explosive. He's powerful. You see the short, choppy steps as he goes around the corner. Stacy's about my height. He's about 5'10". He's 210 pounds. He still has 2 years of high school left, by the way, which is pretty scary. But this is a great example. You can look at all the different people on the side there, videoing from different angles. You're looking at all the different people that are checking them out, scouts, etc. There are coaches. Every different group of people that you can imagine are going to be at these from media. They want media there because it's good for their brand, etc. And that also helps. Stacy just happens to be one of the kids, A, I know, and B, he's an extraordinary talent physically. Like, he's blessed. His legs are NFL size already. So that's the kind of drill I think that everybody right there, you can use that for a lineman. You can use that for a DB or whatever, just quick feet. That never goes out of style. And that's something that college coaches want to see. Now, the last one I'm going to show you, a little bit different, but it's another running back drill that I like. And this is something, again, it's based on a running back, but this is something that college coaches like to show or see. And it's something that I think is utilized really, really well. You don't necessarily have to have a football in their hand if it's a lineman or quarterback or whatever, but the ability to go forward and then move laterally. In football, they talk about, well, the 40, you don't really run 40 yards very often without hitting somebody. It's true. But the 40-yard dash is used. It's one of the metrics. This next one is a true football/athletic move that I think you can use for any position. So without further ado here, I'll pull this one up. But again, it's a top-notch running back. It's Jarrett Gibson. It's another sophomore who's at IMG, going to be a junior in the fall. He's based out of Georgia, originally from Florida, moved to Georgia, and now he's at IMG. So he's a great kid, pretty quiet, but he is explosive. And as this video will show, there's a reason that he has offers from programs pretty much across the country, because he is not your average kind of guy. Those are feet of somebody that's just barely old enough to drive. So look at the quickness. But the idea there is to explode laterally and then forward again and just over and over. This is the kind of thing that college coaches, and to some degree NFL coaches, use on a very frequent basis. Although at the NFL level, they kind of know if a guy can do this, if he's going to be a running back specifically. But just watch the foot. It plants, it goes, and it's just quickness. How does this change the recruitment of somebody? It may or may not, but it can at least shift a board a little bit in terms of your pecking order. And I know from talking to coaches, this is just over the years, this is the kind of drill that you'll see a lot from different groups of people. And they can make it longer. They can make the space change. And it works out for them in different ways. You might make it a little bit longer for an offensive lineman. You may make it shorter. You may add a different obstacle. But combine type work like this at IMG Academy is a great example of it. Overall, the combine last night, there were more players there than I could possibly go over. I've got a list of kids here, about 50 of them. And I'm on a sheet that I'm sitting here looking. It's just incredible how many kids are there. But I would say conservatively, IMG has 25 players that are Power 5. Give or take right now. And that doesn't even include a few kids that are kind of on that verge that, they develop kids. They have really good facilities and all that. And this combine gives IMG a good idea where some of the kids are. They may be a little bit better than they thought or a little bit lower in terms of athleticism, explosiveness. And that gives them a metric to work from, for what they're going to do for their squad, what they're going to set up for their diet. They had protein and stuff out there for them right after the event. Francis, the big offensive tackle, he's from Samoa. He's a great personality. One of the gals that was at the stand there on both sides of the field, they had protein and all kinds of different things for the kids during or after. And she's like, do you want this right now? Like, soon as he was done the interview, like 1 second. This is a process. And it is every single second counts at the combine and every other time. So nutrition is also a part of it. Last thing before I kind of get out of here, and I just, again, I just wanted to explain what is a combine, what's the type of events. If you're going to send your kid into one, and it doesn't obviously have to be IMG, the only thing I can tell you as far as researching it is to ask around. If you're going to send your kid or somebody some of your players at your school, if you're a coach, whatever, the only thing you can do is individual asking of player A, B, and C that have been before, coaches that have taken it. I've been to some combines that aren't that well run. This is obviously elite, really high-tech stuff, and they have a great facility. They used a literal football field for it instead of some park or something. It's just different at every one. Combines, though, even though in that small setting, I've ran a few little small combines just without equipment, and we just did basic drills and stuff just to get video out during COVID. I remember doing that in inner city Atlanta. I remember doing that in Gwinnett County in Atlanta, different areas around Tampa, Lakeland, etc. Seeing kids throwing around is important. Seeing their different dexterity, their hand-eye coordination, that's all a part of it. So for anybody out there, even if it's smaller, if you're trying to get somebody acclimated, remember, some of these kids, even in IMG, didn't know how to run the L drill to the best ability. They didn't know how to run the 5-10-5. Google it. Do a search engine on whatever your favorite search engine is. How to run a 5-10-5. How to run the L drill. Do not show up to one of these without practicing it first. Period. You will fail compared to where you should be. And by quite a margin. Quite a margin. It's not an easy thing to learn, but these measurements get sent off to colleges all across the country. The UC report, the underclassmen report that is sent out, the guys work with ESPN, Hebert, and this Luganville, et cetera. They do a tremendous job of getting it out to different people, colleges around the country. They send it to over 100. These colleges pay them money for it, and it's well worth it. It gives them another metric. So even if you don't have the ability to play at IMG or whatever, this is a good way to learn. Just watching some of these videos, I still have Jarek up here, Jarek Gibson on my screen on the right here, but it's very important that you learn it. So everybody have a great day. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.